All right, so here is my first ever attempt at a solo endeavor here on Just Cuz. Of course, I'm one half of Just Cuz TV. I'm Mark, for those who don't know. And David and I decided some time ago that we want to give you guys an opportunity to hear from us separately, because during our discussions together, obviously our point of view and our opinions might get overshadowed by the debate. Sometimes I even forget, to finish a thought because I'm so interested in rebutting something David says. So this is gonna be my solo act. It's currently untitled, but we'll figure it out as it goes. And so here's our first go. I'm gonna have to cut a lot of that out. So recently David and I had a discussion about sympathy and empathy, and how a lot of people don't fully understand what it is that sympathy or empathy are. They seem to be confused, and we dug deep into it, found a few definitions to kind of guide us into figuring out what the difference really is. And the consensus was that sympathy is to feel bad for a person's situation, to be, short about it. And empathy is feeling, sharing the feeling with the person. So for instance, if someone's parent dies, you can feel bad and say, oh man, it's terrible that, so-and-so's dad died. But empathy would be, and that would be, example of sympathy, but empathy would be more feeling bad with them, crying because somebody else's parent died, rather than just saying, oh, that's terrible news. And the discussion was interesting. You should probably check it out. It's going to be coming out on Just Cuz TV pretty soon. We found that it is very confusing, empathizing with a person, whether or not that's even something that somebody wants from you, sympathizing with a person, whether or not that's even effective, you know what I mean? And one thing I felt like didn't get touched is the importance of selective apathy, and how people need to be apathetic a little more. And before you say, what the hell are you talking about? Just give me an opportunity. Just hear me out. All right. So the definition of apathy is the lack of emotional response to something, the lack of concern with somebody else's issues. And I think that more people would be better served showing some apathy selectively. Obviously, you don't want to be Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, but it gets to a point where I feel like we're too involved in other people's depression, or their sadness, or their marital problems, or their issues at work, and we allow people to drain our energy by giving them the opportunity to share, or asking questions about their day, and letting them unload all of their issues on us. And I think that in my experience, I've found that people like me, who I was previously, and people who would consider themselves true empaths, end up getting stepped on. And this is what I mean by that. When was the last time you've gotten a call from a friend where they were truly interested in how your day went? And these are people you love. I mean, even parents or siblings, they'll call you more than likely to get to the point where they can unload their issues on you. And you spend, because you love them, you spend, 10, 15 minutes listening to how their day went. And when it's your turn to talk, somehow they got something to do. And, you just brush it off as, oh, that's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Next time I'll get a chance to talk. But for some reason, you never really get a chance to be heard. Or even when you are, getting a chance to maybe, say how you feel, you seem to be annoying the person, or they'll judge you, or they'll give you advice that you weren't asking for. You just wanted to be heard. I feel like that's not, it's not something that is easy for a person to do. And I don't even want necessarily people to empathize with me if they can't. What I want is to be understood when I don't care. I don't know what the word for that is. To not want to hear another person's problems, or not want to be a person's shoulder to cry on, or so on and so forth. I think there has to be a word for being focused on your own emotions. And obviously, being selectively apathetic may not be the best way to state that. But if somebody knows that word, let me know. But we definitely need to exercise a little more of this, where David would say, I don't respond. You know what I mean? Like, and pretty much he does not give a crap sometimes. And I've never been that guy. At least I wasn't up until recently. Now that I have children and I'm married, it comes to a point where I'm just like, I don't have the time. Don't do this. There's far too much going on in my life for you to then share all of this negativity. And I feel like I've come off as a mean person, maybe, but I wouldn't call it mean. There has to be an opportunity for a person to say, I'm going to protect my peace. I see that a lot on social media, protecting your peace. And selective apathy is where you can find a way to do that. Now, there's definitely a time for empathizing and sympathizing, but I think that's when it's unavoidable, when there's big issues. But for minor things, or things that a person can handle on their own, it may be a better choice to say, don't bring that my way. And you don't have to say it. Maybe you just, quietly avoid being caught up in it. I just feel like empathy in itself has this weird air of the first person to put their problem on the table has the right of way, if you want to call it. Let's say 4 people are at a table and we're all enjoying a good day, a good time. And then a 5th person shows up and he says, oh man, my day was terrible. Everybody at the table all of a sudden is obligated now to not enjoy themselves anymore because we care about this person and they want to lament, and let's give them the opportunity to do so. But what about us? What about the ones who are already having a good time? Does the person who is having a bad day and wants to come unload not have the responsibility to be empathetic and say, what about their good time? Should I not put myself in their shoes and say, it's 4-on-1, maybe I should leave this to another time? Or is it that if you're having a bad time, you take precedence? That's my issue. Maybe I'm nuts. Maybe I'm rude. Maybe I'm a sociopath or something. And that's another one. We got to dig into that someday. If you've ever seen the definition of what a sociopath is, I feel like 90% of people are. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. But, I thank you for giving me a listening ear. We want to keep it short and sweet on these one-offs here, so that we get an opportunity to give you our personal takes. And I'd love to hear what you thought about selective apathy, or if, am I crazy? Or am I on the right track? Do I sound terrible? Let me know. All right, and be sure to check out our discussion on empathy and sympathy, and let us know how you feel about that as well.